guys, welcome back to week 5 of Intro to Programming in Python, or CSE110. For this prepare assignment, for this first one for this week, we're going to talk about lists. Now, lists are a very great way to store information. If you're a doctor's office and you have a list of vitals that you want to keep adding more to each time the patient comes to visit, a list can be used that way. You can also add many different kinds of things to it. There's many different kinds of types as well for different types of lists. So we're going to talk about lists a little bit today and how to add to them and how to remove from them. It can be pretty exciting. Okay, so first off, the syntax for a list looks a little something like this. Say you want to have a list of friends, I guess, to list off your friends. So you can call them friends is equal to that. Now, you're never going to want to call a list the name list, because that is a name that is already kind of used in other languages, and it's just kind of confusing. If you were to type like list equals, in most languages, the word list is required to be used to be able to make the list. So you don't want to use the word list to declare a list. It's just kind of a little confusing and complex when you don't need it to be. So I wouldn't ever call it list. I would just call it something like friends, maybe. Now, the syntax for adding something to a list is called .append. So if you wanted to add something to this list, for example, if you just said print friends, if you just said print friends, that would print just an empty list. For example, there it is. It prints an empty list because there's nothing in it. But if, for example, you decided to say like friends.append, and then say like Mark, then hit save and you hit go, it'll print Mark for you because Mark is the one on the list. And again, if you do that same thing again, if you copy and paste and put a different name at the end, like you change the name to Jessica, I guess that's a good name, Jessica, then you get Mark and Jessica. So it's a pretty cool way to print out your list and a cool way to add stuff to your list. So if we keep doing this and we keep adding different people to our list, and let's say we decide one of these people isn't our friend anymore. So let's start with a couple we're going to do. Let's do like Josh, let's do Mike. Ooh, we're going to start doing friends' names now because I feel like it. Chan, because they call him Chandler. I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to name it as well. Alright, and then Monica and Rachel. I just saw an opportunity to put friends' names in here, so there you go. Now it's going to print them out. It's going to print them out in a line like this. Very, very cool. So what if you decide that one of these people doesn't need to be your friend anymore, or you decide you want to take them off the friends list? Pop is a way to take off a specific spot, not necessarily a value, but a specific spot by index, and then store that information. So, for example, you want to take Mark off, but you don't know the name is Mark. You just know that the very first person on that list is the person you want to take off. Whoever that first person is, you would say friends.pop, and then you would put the index of that person, so you put 0. Now, .pop inherently keeps the value that you popped away, that you took off, okay? So you could over here put off like removed friend. Whoa. There we go. You say removed friend is equal to friends.pop0, and 0 is the location or the index of the very first person. And so then you could just say print removed friend. Print removed friend, and this way it'll say, first it'll say, okay, Mark, and then it'll print friends, but then Mark won't be in the list. So if we hit go, perfect, you'll say first is Mark, and then it'll print your friends again, but Mark is not in here anymore. So pop is a way you can just take off a specific thing by the index, and potentially if you need to, you could store that information if you needed to store it. The other one is called remove, and remove works by taking a value away. So let me get you guys an example. So now you know that Jessica was a mistake. You didn't mean to put Jessica there. It was an accident, or who knows, whatever the reason is. But you know the value of what you want to take away. So you would say it this way. Friends dot remove and then you'd put the value you want to take away, so like Jessica, and then you put friends, and then perfect. Now you see Jessica's gone, it's just Josh. Okay, so for this assignment this week, you are supposed to take in a list of your friends and then just display them, but display them on their own line. Okay, so here you have a way of adding your friends to this list. So you say, while add friends. Okay, so you have your list of friends, you have add friends right here, which is just empty, an empty variable, and then while add friends is not equal to end, then you just ask for the type name of a friend, and then append that to add friends. But if you hit print after doing this, after running this, you're gonna get them placed one after another. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so you got these friends, right? And if you type end, it'll then print them, but it prints them like this. Now, how can we get away from this? There's a couple ways. You could do something along the lines of saying print friends, comma, end equals, and then put a /n, which is a new line for each one. That's one way you could do it. So I created an if-else statement just to kind of get out of this part right here, where it would always say end at the end because I typed end. Now to get it to print the way we want it to, line by line or what have you, we'll do it through a for loop. We'll say for I in friends, and we'll say print I comma end equals /n. /n will then print a new line each time. So if we go and we type in all of our friends, Ross, Chandler, Phoebe, and then we type end. Now we got Ross, Chandler, Phoebe, and they're all in their own line. And as you notice, there's no end at the end because we added this if-else statement to check to see if that's the end first. Now the other way you can do this is a .join. I think this one's a little less intuitive, I guess. How you would do that is you get rid of your for statement, and all you have is this print statement where you put quotations around whatever it is you want. You can say new line, and then you go outside the brackets, you put .join, and then you put friends. If I could spell, then we could do that, but like that. And then this will print them accurately. Oh, I accidentally spelled it too high. But anyway, this comes up with the same answer. It's the exact same thing. All it's doing is it's putting a new line before and then joining friends after that. So either way you want to do it, both ways works. Alright guys, so prepare to, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be making a list, like a shopping list, and you're going to read through the list and make sure you print it with indexes and all the other things, but I will show you guys how to do that as we go along. First off, I guess you could just call it shopping list, I guess. Now, when I said earlier that don't name it list, I wasn't saying don't put list in the name. You can, just, I meant not, don't say list. Don't do that because that's confusing, and it's just generally better not to do that. But you can put list in the name like I've done here. Say shopping list is equal to a blank list. That's totally fine. Shop entry, we'll call it entry, is not equal to quit, I guess. We'll pass right there for right now. We need to, so we instantiated, we're going to print please enter the items of the shopping list. Type quit. I'm going to say quit. Oh, quit to finish. There you go. And then you're going to come down here and you can make an opening statement for item. So now I'd create this while loop, and then I create like a entry is equal to nothing, and then you say while entry is not equal to quit, you'd say entry is equal to input item. Awesome. And then you just say if entry is equal to quit, then pass, else shopping list dot append entry. There we go. All right. So now you have it built out the way that you did before. Basically the exact same thing. You have please enter the items in the shopping list and type quit to finish. Now you have entry, which you could type. I'm going to put entry up above just for aesthetic reasons. Nothing else other than just aesthetics. I just wanted to look nicer. And then you go through, and while entry is not equal to quit, entry input item. You get how this works because we just did it. Now the only difference is, other than just printing the shopping list or the entry or whatever, instead of just printing it back out, which you will do, you are going to say print the shopping list is, and other than just printing out, you're going to do something called use your for loops to be able whoops, I spelled it wrong. The shopping list is, and now you're going to use a for loop or some other type of loop to be able to display the items in this list. First off, you're going to start off writing out just what each item is. So one of the simplest ways to do it is to say for I in shopping list print I. Very simple. It'll print the items that you have. So you have your please enter the items in the shopping list, type quit to finish. I'm going to actually put this /n right here so that it spaces that a little bit. Then item, you can say like milk, bread, tree. Okay, and then you can just type quit, and it kicks you out. It says the shopping list is those items. Now, instead of just printing those items, now we want to print those items with the index or the indices to the left of them. Now, to do that, that's not super hard to do. You just need to create a counter for that. Very simple. I'm going to put it up here, though. I'm going to call it counter is equal to 0. And then here inside the for I in shopping list, you're just going to +1 each and every time you print. So you're going to say, I do something like F, and then say this, not that, sorry. I just went full screen, didn't mean to do that. You're going to want this, and you're going to say counter. Gotcha. Counter, then you're going to put a period, and then you're going to put the item, and you're going to say I. Now, it would also be smart to say the shopping list with index is, or yeah, that's a good way to say it. The shopping list with index is, and then you have this. So it'll print the counter. Now the only thing that remains is to say at the very end, put counter plus equals 1. For each loop that it gives, it plus equals 1, and then you get to keep moving forward. So do this. We'll do it again. We'll say milk, bread, apples, trees, fruits, frozen veggies, and then you say quit when you're all done. And it says the shopping list with index is 0 milk, 1 bread, 2 apples, 3 trees, and it counts, so on and so forth. And that way you can print out a very nice list. I don't know why that's open. A very nice list to be able to print out with these numbers. So now that you've displayed everything, now you can go and do the next part, which is replacing something from your list. So now you have your list, and now you need to ask the user for what item they'd like to change. Now, this is just a practice. It's just arbitrary, you know. Who's to say that the person who entered this list really wants to change anything after all? But just because they want you to understand how this works, how index works, how the counter works as you put one item in, you guys kind of have already, I think you guys have already seen how index works already. The first item in your list is going to be a 0 index, then a 1, then a 2, then a 3, then a 4. And you can call that particular item by saying print shopping list brackets I. So if you did like print shopping list bracket 3, if you had 4 items in your list, the third spot would push to that 4th spot because it counts from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is your 4th item, trees. So if you said print shopping list 3, it would have shown trees because that's what I had put in that spot. So that's how index works. And to help practice working with index, you're going to create something that's going to ask the user for which item they'd like to change as a number or as the index for that number. And then you just ask, okay, what is that new item? And then put it in. So you say, I don't know, you can call it correction. Sure, correction. And then you say, input, what item would you like to change? And of course, you're going to want this in an int. So let's wrap this whole thing in parentheses. There you go. Now it's an int. Oh, I spelled correction wrong. Correction. Okay. Which item would you like to change? And that's going to be your index piece. Okay. So then you're going to take that and say, okay, new item equals input. What is the, what is the new item? What is the new item? Okay, now you have something to take in to ask them, what is the new thing that you'd like to change that thing to? Then all you have to say is you have to say shopping list. Then you set it to the correction. There's your correction. Shopping list dot correct, or not dot correction, but brackets correction equals new item. Simple as that. And then you're going to redisplay everything again. So you just literally would just copy this and paste it again. And then boom. Now it'll redisplay it after that's over. Let's kill this just so we start over again. Brand new. We're going to say milk, bread, trees, fruits, kangaroos, Kit Kats, and then you go quit. I didn't mean to type Kit Kats. Oh man, I wanted a watermelon instead. So you're like, oh, what item would you like to change? You'd say, number 5, I guess, Kit Kats. What's the new item? Okay, let's do watermelon. Perfect. Now we have our list. Okay, what is the new watermelon? And it replaced Kit Kats with watermelon. Simple as that. You could do that with any number in the list. With the way this is done, you could type in any number you wanted, 2, and it would replace the 2. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't reset. So you guys see something here that I didn't think about. Something didn't occur to me before. It did do it correctly, but it gave the wrong number because it gave the counter again. Now I did counter plus equals 1, but counter is called way up here. So there's your counter. By doing so, I've made this error because once it gets to 5, which it did right here, and then it tries to redisplay again, it's counting counter again. And so it's counting all the way up to 11, which it shouldn't do. We don't really want that. So the way we could fix that is we could cut counter out of there, and then we could just slap it in here. That way it just, although we don't actually want to do that, never mind. That's a mistake. Don't do that. That'll be a problem. You could just call counter here right before you go into that print statement, and then you could just recall it again just right here. Jawa's lightsaber, and then quit. Okay, and then what item would you like to change? Oh, I'd like to change my 3, which is the candy, and I'd like to make it watermelon. And now you've gone back and you've changed it again. And that's just because we reinstated counter as 0 again. Okay, and for your team assignment this week, I will also kind of leave this up to your devices so that you can talk with your team about it and discuss what things are happening here. But for your team assignment, you're going to be making a list of numbers, and then you're going to make the show the sum of the numbers, show the average of the numbers, and the largest number out of all of them. We have instantiated the numbers, said that it declared it, said that it exists. Entry also exists. Right? get rid of that. And then while entry is not equal to 0, then you're going to ask for an entry, not item, but enter number, I guess. Enter number there, if I can spell. Sometimes this mechanical keyboard is not as good for me as I think it is. Input enter number, and if entry is equal to 0, then you pass, which means that it won't append the 0 to the list, which you don't want. I mean, although even if you did, 0 is a 0, and so 0 won't make the sum go up, and a 0 won't make the average change, because well, it would actually, because it would add an extra number to the end. It would change your average. So let's start off with how you were going to do something like how you would get your sum. There's something in Python called sum, which you can use anytime you want, like that. You put inside there the list of numbers that you want to add together. So since we have something called numbers, we just say sum numbers. Now, if you wanted to print that out, of course, that's not going to do it, but you could say print sum numbers. And then that's all you have to do, and it will print the sum of whatever numbers you put in here. So if we start it up, oh shoot. You guys see the error of my ways. I said while entry is not equal to 0, and it is equal to 0. All right, we're gonna have to change that. We're just gonna make entry. Whoops, like that. We'll say entry is equal to -1. We'll just make it -1. We're going to call this again anyway. We're going to say entry equals, and we're going to make you enter a number, so it's not going to change anything. But entry equals -1, so we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. Alright, so now 45 is what comes up. That is the sum of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, just for simplicity's sake, I would recommend right here somewhere creating an average. AVG is equal to the formula that makes the average, which would be sum numbers divided by len numbers. So now you have this average, which is, and you can put it in here, you can put AVG in there, and say the average is the sum of the numbers divided by the length of the numbers. So if you're going to do what is the largest number, all you have to do is what we did earlier. You iterate through the list and you just find what the largest number out of all those is. So how you're going to do this is you've taken the first spot in numbers. So numbers index 0 is your max number, as far as we know it is anyway. And what you're going to do here is you're going to say for what was it again? Numbers. In numbers, you just check to see. So you just check to see if that n is greater than the max. So you say if n is greater than max, then max equals n. And if you wanted to, you could leave it like that and just run it, and it would run just fine. Or you could say else pass. And I like to put pass on it just to clean it up and make sure it looks nice and clean. But after you're done doing that, all you have to say now is print the largest there we go. The largest number is max. That's all it takes. And then your program's done and you're ready to move on out of here. You can do 10, 20, 50, 60, 50, 44, 32, 11, hit 0. It'll say your highest number or largest number is 60. There's 60 right there in the middle of the list. So one more time, just go over this to make sure it's understood. The numbers 0, or the first item in the numbers list, is set as the max variable. And then I just iterate through the numbers, and I check to see if this variable that we created called n is greater than the max number we already created. If it is greater than that, for example, 10. It goes to 10 first and says, 10 is the max number. And then it comes into this for loop and starts looping through, and it says, is 20 greater than 10? It is. Is 50 greater than 10? It is. And it keeps reassigning this variable max to be the highest number until it stops being the highest number. So then it goes to 60 and it says, is this higher than 50? It is. Oh, is 50 higher than 60? It's not. So it ignored it and kept it as 60. And then it went to 44 and it still wasn't bigger than 60, so it just let it go. 32 is also not bigger than 60, so it let it go again. So that's how that works, and that's how you would find the largest number in a list. The way I think I'm going to do this is I'm going to start off making a simple cart. And I'm going to make it a list like we've done before. Okay, so I've typed all these out. I've typed out all these options that are available for the user to choose from. So now we have a cart established, a list, and now we have these options available for the person to be able to enter their option. And so now we have the base for what I think is going to be awesome, how we're going to do all this stuff. And now what I'm going to do here is inside case 1, if someone wants to add an item, I'm going to call a function. And I'm going to put the function somewhere up here just so it's up and out of the way and ready to go. So let's put it right up here actually. We'll start here, we'll say def add item, and we'll do that and that. Input, what is the item you would like to add? There you go. What is the item you would like to add? And then they're gonna type in something, okay? Then you need to push out that. You need to push out the item they just did. So you say return add. You could even call it item if you wanted to. Put item is equal to and then return item. That works too. You know, just for simplicity's sake, we'll do it. We'll call it item. And then down here in your case statement, you're going to append that item. So again, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to say item is equal to add item, parentheses. Now you have this item, and all you have to do is you have to say cart.append item. Done. Now this case statement's over. It'll add that item there. Now let's go to number 2, which is called add cart. So we're going to come up here real quick, and we're going to add something called def view cart. Okay, and then we're going to do it like that. Now for view cart to work properly, you have to pass in a variable. You have to pass in the cart that you're using. Now you can call this one whatever you want. I'm going to call it cart just to be sure that I remember what this is called. But view cart, you pass in the list of cart. And later down here we'll talk more about what that means, passing something in just a second. So now you have to go through and loop through the cart that you have. So you're going to say something like for, oops, it's all in caps, for I in cart. And then you just say print I. Print I. Now that's just going to print out everything that's in the cart. Now at this moment you don't have to add prices or anything, but you will later have to ask for prices, and so this setup might change a little bit, but I probably would still keep the functions that I'm using just like they are. And here you do case 2. If someone types a 2, what is it that you want to do? We want to call this view cart. So that's what you would do is you'd say view cart. Now this function should work appropriately, as we've said. So welcome to the shopping cart program. Please select one of the following. Oh, we didn't create an exit. Let's create an exit. Goodbye. And then we need to say keep going equals false. Perfect. Then that should be able to get us out of here. Yeah, perfect. Let's give it a shot. 1, add item. What is the item you like to add? Cheese. Perfect. Cheese added to the cart. 1, I'd like bread. And hit 2. Ooh, we hit an issue. What is this? Right, view cart. My bad. My bad. Sorry. I forgot to put cart there. 1 cheese. 1 bread. 2. Perfect. Okay, so now when when you type in 2, it says cheese and bread. Now, what had happened was I forgot to put cart right here. The problem with that is these two, this one and this one, don't need to be the exact same name, but you need to use the same name here as you do here. I used cart because it was just simple and easy to understand. But this one right here also needs to match this right here. I hope that's making sense. Because I could name this bananas, and then change this one to bananas. And then this would work properly because you have cart right here, and then it's coming down here and saying view cart. Okay, put cart into view cart. And then down in here it's going to say, oh, what's this item? It's called bananas. And then use the word bananas. So it doesn't care if it's the exact same name. It just has to be the same name inside the function. But I'm going to put it back as cart just so that it doesn't confuse anybody. But now it works properly. So now we have these items. When I typed them in and then I hit 2, it gave me my items, which is awesome. I think it's great. It works great. And then if you decided to hit 5, it would say thank you, goodbye, and quit. This is all you need for the base, what do you call it, the midweek submission or the halfway submission. This is all you need. Now, take what I've just shown you and kind of make it into your own. You don't have to follow my steps exactly, but I like the way this looks, and this is the way I would do it. I would fill out case 3 and case 4 by calling, like I did before, calling, the functions that I'm going to make. I would probably call the next ones, call them remove item or calculate total. I would call these functions up here, that thing, and inside there I would pass in those values that I needed and use them to kind of establish what I needed, and then pass back out the variable that I'm going to need. I hope that's making sense. Once again, if you need any help, let me know. I'm always available. In the last video, at the very end of, well, not the very end, but somewhere in the middle of last video, I gave my information to those that are at the school that want to contact me. That's fine. Go for it. I'm on Teams. Feel free to reach out. I'm definitely happy to help if you're at the school. If you're not at the school, I don't really have a way to give you that same information. So just comment down below and let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to reach back out and answer anything that I know. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I do have some experience here. So let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll see you guys next time.